TED 406, Teaching Secondary Reading. How does reading work? How do the squiggles and symbols and marks on a page get into a person's brain? There's been lots of research on how the process of reading works, and some theorize that the process is top-down, meaning that the reader brings whatever is in the reader's head to the text. The meaning goes from the reader's mind down to the text. Other researchers theorize a bottom-up process. That is, the reader constructs the meaning of a text based on what the text says. The text goes up to his mind. In 1978, Louise Rosenblatt came out with a very influential book called The Reader, the Text, the Poem, the Transactional Theory of the Literary Work, in which she argues that the act of reading literature involves a transaction between the reader and the text. Each, quote, transaction is a unique experience in which the reader and text continuously act and are acted upon by each other. Each text has its own format, genre, contents. The text and images and symbols inside the text don't change. But each reader brings his or her own personality, skills, background, interests, purposes. The mood and physical state at the time of reading can change, and they'll impact the meaning that the reader takes out of the text. In fact, Rosenblatt thought that the meaning created in that transaction was so unique, she called it the poem, that special meaning created by one unique reader, one unique text, each time a different experience. But what are children learning when they're learning how to read? We talk about cueing systems. The first cueing system that children learn on the page usually is the graphophonemic. Grapho is writing, phonemic is sounds, so children learn that letters map to sounds. The letter B makes the B sound. We teach that to children in preschool and kindergarten. You can't learn to read in a language you don't understand. The second cueing system is the semantic cueing system or meaning cueing system. A child makes connections between the sounds of the letters to words and understands the words in the language. The third cueing system is the syntactic cueing system. The syntactic cueing system is the structure of the language, so the order of words to make meaning. A child speaks and understands a language before he or she begins to read and write it so that they can use the semantic and syntactic cueing systems. The fourth cueing system is the pragmatic cueing system, and this refers to the social context in which the reading occurs. It turns out that reading is quite a social process, even when we're reading individually. And one of the important factors in reading that children need to learn in order to construct meaning usefully is the social meaning of each text. In the year 2000, the National Reading Panel tried to summarize several decades of scientific research on reading, and they came up with 5 essentials to balanced reading instruction. And they're shown here. Phonemic awareness. Phonemic awareness is being able to understand that spoken words are made up of separate units of sound that are blended together when words are pronounced. Sort of the skill of hearing and producing the separate sounds in words, and it turns out that kids who can do that well tend to be able to read better. Phonics, on the other hand, is the rules about the relationships between letters in the spelling of words and the sounds of spoken language. So phonics is an approach to instruction in reading. Phonemic awareness is being able to tell the difference in sounds. Phonics is instruction in what those sounds are and how they work. Fluency is recognizing the words in a text rapidly and accurately and using phrasing and emphasis in a way that makes what is read sound like spoken language. There's a close relationship between fluency and comprehension. And when kids have a hard time recognizing words, it slows down the whole process and really slows down comprehension. Vocabulary refers to words we need to know in order to communicate with others. Vocabulary is important in word recognition because if a word is not in a kid's oral vocabulary, they'll have a difficult time recognizing the word in print. But vocabulary also plays an important role in comprehension. Research says that there's two really good ways instructionally to improve comprehension. One is ongoing long-term vocabulary instruction, and another is teaching vocabulary words prior to making reading assignments. Finally, comprehension. Comprehension is constructing meaning that is reasonable and accurate by connecting what has been read to what the reader already knows and thinking about all of this information until it's understood. Comprehension is the goal of reading instruction. We know that proficient readers use comprehension strategies to help them understand more of what they're reading. Good readers apply those comprehension strategies without being directed to do so. They become self-regulated in their use of these strategies. Reading instruction begins at a very young age, but it continues through elementary, middle, and high school. And some of the important instruction that you'll do in the content area is teaching children to become better readers and thinkers in science or in math. Most of the teenagers you'll get in your middle and high school classrooms already know how to read, that is, they can decode the text. They don't need instruction in phonemic awareness or phonics. They do need, typically, lots of instruction in fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. And one of the biggest challenges for secondary teachers is devising ways to get children to read successfully. And that's, in fact, what a lot of the rest of the course will be focused on.